Welcome everyone back to Pete's Investing. We review the weekly progress of some key share market world indices and also gold. These are updated every weekend after the week's update. This week's summary, we look at all the indices have been pretty much flat with the exception of, China's still in the negative. We'll cover China, which is our focus of the indices we look at. So China's still in the red. The other indices are still in the positive, and we'll show you the results of the financial results of those in a few seconds. But firstly, if you want me to review any other index or commodity, put it in the comments and I'll cover it in a future video. As always, click the subscribe button, the notification bell, and like the video to support the channel. Don't forget to review the playlists, and this is where we review the weekly indices in this playlist, which is where this video will belong. We also look at some blue chip shares we track and how they're progressing, and also our strategy playlist, which is where we cover a simple trading strategy, the average down process, and some money management ideas. It's always worth referring to these to get a better understanding as to how we trade and do the average down. As always, a disclaimer, make sure you read this and understand it. We're not offering financial advice. It's purely an educational video. So first, let's get stuck into our financial results for the progress so far, how this has been tracking for these indices. Again, we're looking at a 15-minute chart over a rolling 5-month period for each of these indices. So as you can see here, all the indices are doing quite nicely over the 5-month period, and that shows you the average monthly revenue from each of those, with the exception of China. China's putting us down in the negative, and that's the second week that's happened, so we're still in the negative for that. I've done a little summary here of how it's been tracking on a monthly basis. So as you can see here, beginning in February, after January's results, we were generating about almost $43,000 in revenue for the 5-month period. And you can see there the relative revenue over the 5-month period for each of those months as we progressed. And in July, we've hit the negative thanks to China primarily. So again, don't forget here we're also, this is our per contract for one. This is the margin required per one contract, and we're trading 5 contracts in our charting back testing. So what this shows here is the ASX 200. This is a price chart for that, and this is for the week. That's what it's done for the week. It's pretty much consolidated flat, going flat for most of the week. You can see here we're trading 5 contracts in a 15-minute time frame. Let me just show you the 5-month period. That's what it looks like. As you can see there, we opened this latest trade back on the 17th of June, and it's opened 5 contracts, and that's still open because we haven't broken our profits on that one yet. Going backward here, we can see for each of these single step bars, that just indicates we've traded 5 contracts and closed out the same 5 contracts. Here we're still open. Here we opened up with 5 contracts on the 13th of April. It went sideways for a while, and then it dropped further and it went below our point where we added more contracts here on the 20th of May. So here we've added another 5 contracts. You can see there now we've got a total of 10 contracts. Well, we had 10 contracts there at that point there. And it finally closed out there with a profit. And you can see there, this is our profit line. So where it closed out there, at that level there, about 102,340 thereabouts. We opened up there at that point. 101,378. So again, a nice little profit there with the average down. Each of these bars represents an open and close of the contracts, and part of our strategy is we must generate at least, and this is what this line here shows. So for each of these points there, it says we need to generate at least 33 points of profit before considering closing. That's one of the criteria for that one, and that measures that profit level there. Just looking at that this example here. The other criteria of that is when it opens. Let me just go back a bit here. When it opens, the CCI 100 moving average 20 breaks above the 0. So that you can see here the price. That's where it opened the 5 contracts there. It went sideways for a while, for a number of days, and it closed out here on the 15th of June. You can see there, one of the criteria is it must reach at least 33 points of profit before closing, and also the CCI 100 moving average 20 must break below the 0. So you can see here it broke below the 0 there, but it hadn't generated enough profit at that point. So you can see there the profit would have been, had it closed there, the profit would have been below our starting point. So in this little example here, you can see there it closed there, and our baseline is 100,000, so it had 34.22. It started there at 31.68. So it generated about $300 worth of profit for that one, for that little trade there. So again, just zooming out over the 5-month period, our latest trade now, we've got 5 contracts open there. So again, looking at that point there, entry criteria is the moving average 100, moving average 20 of the CCI 100. Let's break above the 0, and we still haven't broken above our profit level. You can see there that blue line is our profit entry level, and we're still below that. It came close up here, but it's in the last few days, last couple of days, it's dropped below that again. So that's just demonstrating the ASX 200, the Australian market, for the week. So it pretty much went flat. Now let's look at the US market, the US 500. And very similar. So it opened up here. It's pretty much gone sideways most of the time. Then it pretty much dumped the last few hours of trade there. So again, this closed. This was a bit better in terms of performance. It opened 5 contracts there last week. You can see there it broke above the moving average 20 of the CCI 100, broke above 0. It went above our profit level there, kept going. And here the CCI 100 moving average 20 hasn't broken below the 0. It came close there, but it didn't break below it. So the market, they were still in the market. Then it finally broke below there, and then finally closed out with a profit there. 5 contracts closed out. So you can see there where it closed out. Our exit was a 28.92 profit, and where it opened back here, so 2786. So a small profit, about $120 odd dollars, but still a profit nonetheless. And it reopened again at the peak here, and it's dropped off in the last few hours of trade, as I said, below that. So we're below our profit level, so we need to see how it goes before we potentially add more contracts or hold on to it if it goes sideways. So look at Germany. Again, for the week, it's gone sideways and it's dropped off the last few hours of trade. Very similar scenario. Just looking at the 5-month period, it's been going quite nicely. All single trades, no average down occurring. Let's look at the FTSE. Similar to the German market, all single trades. It's generating currently 43.22 for the 5-month period. And that's represented by our table here, 43.22. Looking at for the previous week or just past. So again, it's gone sideways and it's dropped off in the last day, or probably the last day or so. It's dropped off quite a bit. So we'll see how that performs in the coming week. Lastly, in terms of the indices, look at China. This is our main focus of the trades we're looking at. So let's look at the long term, the 5-month period. So here it assumes we entered up at the peak here, and it's dropped below that. It's been consolidating sideways at this level down here between this support and resistance lines down here. So it's currently in the red for us, but let's not panic too much. It's recently added another 5 contracts here from where it first entered back here. So you'd entered our first trades there, 5 contracts there, another 5 there, and another 5 there. It's hard to see through that. It's just, you can see that those steps there. And it's added, and because it's gone sideways, it's dropped a bit below there at the last week, the last few days, and it's added 5 more contracts there. So it's got a total of 20 contracts open at the moment. And then lastly, we'll look at gold. This hasn't been performing too badly for the week. It started up down here on Monday, and it's risen, but it's dropped off in the last few hours of trade again. But overall, it's doing not too bad for the week actually. Let's look at spot gold 1, not 10. So this has generated $263 And again, we're only looking at 5 contracts, and each of these has a margin of $90 for each contract. So it's got the smallest margin requirement, but it's also got the smallest profit generator. So again, just be mindful when in terms of the money management, again, refer to the money management videos for a better explanation. Just be mindful when you're trading these, you're not necessarily going to be trading 5 contracts for each of these. You're going to make sure that you've got enough funds in your account to support the margin requirement. So if we're trading 5 contracts of China, obviously we're looking at a lot more drawdown requirement as opposed to, say, the gold, 5 contracts of gold. Okay, so that's where we're at the moment. China is our biggest drawdown it's required. But again, we're not panicking too much because we've done quite nicely in the previous months of revenue. And hopefully the China market gains some momentum in the coming days or weeks, and we can recover from that. Okay, guys, thanks again for watching, and we'll speak to you guys next week.